Today, I wanted to revisit an older video that I made, specifically this time comparing the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands, and in an area that doesn't have as much co-channel interference. So in the last video that I made, I was at my apartment. Now I am in a suburban neighborhood where there is a lot of space in between the other houses, and there are not as many access points close together in this neighborhood, unlike an apartment building. For some context, this is a TP-Link Wi-Fi 7 access point mesh node, and I have an SFP Plus connection using multi-mode fiber. For the local network, I have switched over much of the house here to fiber. As you can see, I'm using 80 megahertz of bandwidth in the 5 gigahertz band, and I'm using channel 44, and of course the signal strength is very strong because the access point is right here. So the settings are the exact same with this access point and the access point that I tested out in an apartment. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a speed test with the exact same settings as before. We're gonna see if there's any difference in speeds between an area with a lot of congestion and an area like this where there's not a lot of co-channel interference. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna run this test. Again, the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands. And as you can see, this is performing much better compared to the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands in that crowded apartment. So before, we were barely breaking about 900 megabits per second, and I was able to get our entire internet speeds here. So at the apartment that I was in, I have 10 gigabits per second down and 10 gigabits per second up, parallel fiber speeds. Here, we only have access to Spectrum, which is using legacy coaxial cable lines. This is our entire speeds that we're getting here, which is 1.143 gigabits per second. This is literally the max internet connection. And then these upload speeds, we're supposed to get 40, but there's some devices on the network right now that are using some of the bandwidth. These would be the exact same speeds with a hardwired connection. So there's actually more capacity on this radio channel configuration than just what is shown here with this speed test. But as you can see, the results are definitely very interesting. In a future video, I will do a speed test with an open speed test server operating on the local network in order to see what the maximum speeds are. So I will revisit that and we'll see what we can max out with in a future video.